papilla is made up of certain parts. Each one of these things is known as a pyramid, a renal pyramid. Okay? On average, we have between 6 and 8 pyramids in each kidney. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they split the difference. The tip of each pyramid, and what you have to picture is that these pyramids are made up of collecting ducts. See how all these lines go down like this? So these are all collecting ducts, which, remember from the board, is the end. That's what the distal convoluted tubule empties into, a collecting duct. So here's collecting ducts moving down. They all converge into this tip at the bottom of the renal pyramid, and that's what's called the papilla, the renal papilla. In between the pyramids is this connective type tissue called a renal column, C-O-L-U-M-N, renal column. So now, picture what's going on here. Out in the cortex is where the nephrons are. So this is where the real action is occurring. That's the biggest area. So we can crowd 1 million of these nephrons into this area. After it empties into the collecting duct, the collecting ducts convey that tiny percent, that 1% of fluid that's left, down to the renal papilla. The papilla then drips these tiny, tiny droplets from the bottoms of the various collecting ducts into this area. So you have a bunch of these areas all collecting urine, right? This is the ureter. The ureter. U-R-E-T-E-R, ureter. Give me my list. Okay. What the papilla empties into is on the overview list as the minor calyx. So these are minor calyces, 1 minor calyx. And notice how, for instance, here's a minor calyx, here's another one coming from below, here's another one coming from here. So several of these minor calyces come together to form a major calyx. So here's a minor calyx, under here would be major calyx. And several major calyces open together into the renal pelvis. That's the top wide portion of the ureter. Okay? Renal pelvis, ureter. Okay? Once you're in the ureter, you go down into the bladder. Before I do this thing, let me just go over this. I rarely use this model on an exam, but just in case I resort to it for you, let's go over it. Here's a blood vessel, here's a blood vessel, here's a blood vessel, and here are other blood vessels. So, again, review the blood vessels. You have an interlobar forming an arcuate, off of which comes an interlobular, which gives rise to an afferent arteriole, breaks up into the glomerular capillaries, becomes an efferent arteriole, which sends capillaries in amongst the tubule. Okay. So we got the blood supply here. Interlobar, arcuate, interlobular, afferent arteriole, efferent arteriole, glomerular capillaries. Okay. So, coming right off of Bowman's capsule here, where the glomerular capillaries are, would be the PCT. So here's the PCT. Here's the descending limb of the loop of Henle, which is permeable to water. Here's the ascending limb of the loop of Henle, which is impermeable to water but allows sodium chloride to be excreted. It empties into the collecting duct,
Excuse me? What does PCT stand for?
proximal convoluted tubular.
And that's over here? Yes, sir. That's over here? Where was that?
Proximal convoluted, coming off Bowman's capsule.
Sorry.
Can you repeat the whole thought?